Hello, I'm Jose, and this is the Cinematic Dogma podcast. This week, I'm joined, as every week, by my Iberian, I guess, friend.
I take that as a compliment. Thank you.
My friend Blake. That I think that you brought some opinions, but as this is a Spanish movie that we're going to be talking about, I guess that is opiniones.
I did bring my opiniones, and I brought them from Spain that we just came from together, which is perfect because today we're talking about a Spanish film.
Oh, what Spanish film are we going to be talking about?
We're going to watch the 2024 Critics' Pick from the New York Times, The Room Next Door by Pedro Almodóvar. And that was not a joke. It is a New York Times Critic Pick.
No, I know. I know that you don't play with this. It's like you wouldn't actually assign a movie a critic's pick if it didn't deserve it, like The Guest.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that is that you actually would highlight that before winning the Golden Lion in Venice.
Oh, yeah.
Is that secondary?
Nope, just show me the New York Times Critic Picks and I'm good to go.
Yeah, and this movie, The Room Next Door, is the latest of Pedro Almodóvar, and it's also a significant milestone. I don't know if I call it a milestone or not, but it's also his... I don't know, that sounds bad, but okay. It's a deviation from his standard set of work. It's the first full movie, not a short, like a full-length movie that is shot in English. Because he did like A Strange Way of Living and The Human Voice that we recorded about The Human Voice.
Yeah, so we talked about The Human Voice. I don't know the Strange Way of Living. It's in English?
Yeah, it's with Pedro Pascal, I think, and
the gay western. Yes.
Yeah,
I still haven't seen
that one. Yeah. But why are we talking about this movie? Is there any reason?
I mean... The first film that you and I saw in theaters as friends together was one of his best, Almodóvar's best. I'm so excited. And I think that really, I say that joking, that's not a great film. But I think it is the first film we saw together as friends.
I think so,
in the movie theater.
Yeah.
But we've talked about Almodóvar our entire lives. And I think you have a hard-on for Almodóvar, just like me. But I have a bigger hard-on for Tilda Swinton and Julianne Moore. So this is like a cocktail of things we like from our friendship or things we like to hate in our friendship, which honestly is just you and Julianne Moore.
And I would say that for Pedro Almodóvar, you said they have a hard-on. I like most of his stuff, but I think that he has like super high heights. And then there is always like a cyclic on him that is like, hey, there's going to be like some other ones that they are not that good, you know? So we used to tell, like my sister and I, we used to have the theories, like after a good movie, he would put out 1.5 bad movies. So it's like the next one is going to be like not too good, and the next one, there is a chance that is good or that is bad too.
Am I wrong in the way I understand how you feel about him is that you feel like his movies in the 80s and 90s were stronger? Or maybe not stronger, they're the ones that you like the most. Is that true?
I would say so. 90 and even like 2000, I had the feeling that he was more unfiltered. He was rougher, you know. Rougher in the sense that it was not as polished. When you see this movie or any other of his recent movies, is that everything is millimetrical. You know, everything is like super polished and super placed in a way that it detracts a tiny bit. It's not Wes Anderson, but you can see that there is a bit of a excessive care for everything, that it can be a bit detracting.
I agree with most of what you said. I don't think it's excessive. I think Wes Anderson is excessive, but I feel like for me in Almodóvar's word, everything is so considered that it just makes a richness. This is for me personally. It doesn't take away like Wes Anderson, where I feel like I'm watching a cartoon for children.
Well, but the thing is that Wes Anderson tries to make a caricature of that. Pedro Almodóvar tries to be realistic with it, and it gets to a point that it's like, no one lives in an apartment like that. Okay? No one has it so perfectly crafted and published. I'm sorry, I tend to be like a more or less tidy person, and that level of obsession with everything it's like, I don't know, I don't buy it, and it takes me out a bit. It's like with his previous one, Parallel Matters, it was a bit like that. That is like, yeah, sorry, I don't buy this character because of how they live. So I like it, but I had the feeling that now he has fallen into, I need to make this beautiful. I need to make it like a bit of a presence, is what is expected from me, and it detracts me from believing the characters.
I have to say that I've seen a lot of his movies. I agree with most of what you're saying, and I did just go to Spain for the first time, and I was very curious to see the land of Pedro Almodóvar. And I will say that, like, Spain is extremely stylish. Yes, people can't maintain the apartments that are found in Almodóvar, but, like, it resonated with what I saw. I was like, oh, like, he has the good taste that... I made comments to you. Every small business we went to was designed gorgeously. And that seems to be a Spanish thing. Anyway, I'm an expert on Spain now, so I'll tell you.
Yeah, I can see. Thanks for telling me about my country. Hey, so this is the why, but should we summarize it? Do you want to summarize what this is about?
Yes, I can do that for sure. So this film takes place in New York. I'm confident about that. This film takes place in New York, and we meet initially Julianne Moore, who is a moderately... I don't know how successful she is. She's an author who's doing a book signing, and there's a line, so she must be relatively popular, right? And as she's signing books, a friend of hers gets to the front of the line, and they reconnect. They haven't seen each other for a while, and she mentions, oh, have you heard about our friend... Ooh, I'm blanking on names. Julianne Moore is Ingrid. Tilda Swinton is... I don't remember her name.
Of Tilda Swinton's character, this is Martha.
Okay, so Julianne Moore, Nina, and Martha. So anyway, this friend said, oh, did you hear about Martha? And she said, no, what's going on with Martha? Martha is sick in the hospital with stage 3 cervical cancer. And it quickly becomes known that Nina and Martha were friends, pretty close friends, it sounds like, when I'm guessing in their 20s, where they were both kind of working in journalism and living up in New York, so they shared a professional passion, and then they would party until they both dated John Turturro. And they both really liked him, and it seems like that... It's not that there was any cheating. Martha was a war photographer, a war journalist, so she was always flitting off to some part of the globe. So as we hear the story in the film, Martha dumped John Turturro and went off, and then Julianne Moore ended up dating him. But it sounds like there was a little bit of a rift, so they lost contact. It wasn't like there wasn't a fight, it's just they lost contact. So they reestablished their friendship with Martha being in a hospital, and Julianne Moore coming to visit her often. They really rebuild a pretty solid friendship, and then Martha asks Nina if she would be willing to be in the room next door when Martha commits suicide. And the rest of the film is about that, and honestly, I feel like this film is
it's on the cinema
to do any spoilers, so there you go.
Yeah, no, I think that's like a good summary. There is some, not too much of it's not really like secondary characters. I think that the only thing is like small vignettes. We see like from time to time interactions with other people outside of this circle of 3. But they're like just small vignettes, like the interaction with the trainer, you know?
Yeah. So there's very few tertiary characters, like very few. Mostly it's just these 3.
Yeah, and mostly it's about like conversations with each other. There is no like too much action or anything. It's just slow-paced conversations.
And interestingly enough, I'm going to say something, and I'd like to hear your opinion on it. Almodóvar is an extremely... There's a lot of sex in his films, and it's not gratuitous. It's just kind of honest. And that is noticeably 100% absent from this film.
Yeah, so before we get into specifics, we're done with the summary, no?
Yes.
So, did you like it?
So, I came home from watching this, and my husband asked if I liked it, and I was like, I don't know. What I said is I enjoyed it very much. Yeah. but I didn't know if it was just a good, entertaining film or a great film, and I wanted some time to think about it to figure out if it's great. So it's been a few days now. I've thought about it. I think it's just a good, entertaining film. And there are some lovely surprises, but it's not particularly memorable, except for the performances.
So, I enjoyed it more than I was expecting. I think that The Human Voice was really good. I thought that The Strange Way of Living was like, sure, I mean, it's great, like what you are putting on the screen, but it doesn't connect with me. This one I just felt entertained, but it was like one thing that I hated with all my soul, and it detracts a lot. You know that I'm not Julianne's more biggest fan.
Yeah.
I really like Tilda Swinton. I think that both of them, even if I'm not biggest fan of Julianne Moore, is more because she has something that I don't click with her. But I think that she's a talented actress. Is that we saw her recently in Boogie Nights and other movies, and I feel like she's capable. She's more than capable. You get like these two characters, and you remove, as an artistic direction, I feel, all of the nuance in the interpretation. Is that all of the delivery between them, I feel like it's super neuter.
But don't you think that was a choice by Almodóvar?
Oh yeah, it is. I think that is the wrong choice. I think that it detracts from the movie. And it's a bizarre choice for me, because when he directs in Spanish, I cannot think of a single movie where he does that. Is that all of the, I mean, you can think about it, is that All About My Mother that we watched like not too long ago, is that all of the characters, when they're having like a breakdown, like a, hey, we're facing something terrible, is like we are going to be emotional and we are not going to be hiding it. And this one, it just felt like they were reading a teleprompter about something very emotional that they couldn't express too much about it. Just that maybe a smidge of feelings, but not too much, because this is the order from Almodóvar.
Yeah, it was so plain spoken. There's no subtext. They just say exactly what they're thinking, and they're always, what they think always matches what they say. It's a little confusing.
That's the part that it just pulled me out. That is, it's not that the script is bad. It's a directional choice, and it's a bizarre directional choice. And this actually explains, I mean, the Oscar nominations just came out fairly recently, and I think that this explains why Julianne Moore nor Tilda Swinton are nominated.
Because nothing was asked of them.
No. It's a bit more like you get like two of the best actors in the States right now, and you don't ask anything of them. Actually, you ask them to tone it down.
In fairness, she is not American and does not live in the States.
Okay. Sorry. Pardon me, Tilda Swinton. She's British, no?
Scottish,
that's true. But in any case, like English-speaking actresses, let's just go with that. And it's a, you go like through the effort of doing this, and I had the feeling that Tilda Swinton did much more in The Human Voice, that it was a monologue, than on this movie, because it was not asked
that's
of
a
her.
really, really nice comparison. Yeah, when you look at those two side by side, ooh, well done.
Yeah, for me it's like, dude, I don't know. I was like super confused. It was like ended up. It's like, hey, I enjoyed it, but it almost feels. Do you remember like the 5 Obstructions? It almost feels like Almodóvar was playing that with this movie.
Except I would argue the 5 Obstructions. Oh, you're saying putting in like certain...
The exercise.
I see.
Yeah. There is a bit more. It's like he actually had coffee with Lars von Trier and he told you, I dare you to not let actors show any emotion and doing a movie about death.
You're right. And I struggle with that a little bit because...
With me being right?
Well, I never liked that, for sure. There was something I admired with the earnestness of the characters, that they're fully open, right? They just say what they're thinking, they're saying what they feel, although they don't seem to feel that much. The biggest conflict is when Julianne Moore considers the invitation to be with her when she kills herself for like 2 days, and you think, oh, this is going to be something she really struggles with. And then the next scene, she's like, I'm going to do it. Let's go.
Yeah, it's like a bit more about like, look, this could have played out okay if you showed me more emotions along the way. but you don't show anything, is that this feels like your character is not properly written.
Okay, so if you haven't seen the film and you're going to see it, we're not going to ruin the entire film, but I'm going to mention some spoilers from this point on.
Okay, so spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. It's interesting that we're talking about this because I was so touched by the scene when Julianne Moore is going out to meet her trainer. Really, she's going to see John Turturro, and as she says goodbye to Martha, Tilda Swinton, Martha's writing a letter, and Tilda is she's upset. She doesn't really let Julianne Moore know, but it's so touching the way Tilda Swinton handled that scene, or at least that's what it felt like to me. But I think that's because it's the only scene with emotion, and I was like,
yeah, there's something a bit more like the contrast. Yeah. But once again, it's like he detracts from it. Is that there is even like when he sees, and we're still in a spoiler alert, I will create like some tags. Is that even when he finds her dead, I just feel that this even feels watered down, like a bit toned down. It's almost like Almodóvar didn't really want to make a movie about that. Or it's like Almodóvar is Julianne Moore's character, that maybe he has a bit of a struggle, like dealing with death. Albeit he has that, like with the death of his mother, for example, that used to be in all of his movies until she died. So maybe it's one of those situations.
Sorry, I'm thinking touchingly that the first film you ever gave me as a gift was all about my mother. That's it.
Yeah. But there may be like something there that he's doing it as a way of channeling his trauma, and that's the reason why he doesn't show like specific scenes or specific things or tone down like the feelings that the characters have. I don't know if maybe this is a personal choice and not only like a professional choice. Now, as we're on a spoiler tag, how did people react when Martha's daughter showed up?
Like the audience in the movie theater?
Yeah.
Dead silent.
Okay, people laugh. We also laugh.
I felt embarrassed. I was like, there was no reason to do that, especially when Tilda Swinton has an adult daughter that looks exactly like her that's an actress. Why not just use her?
Yeah. But it was a bit more about like, now we get the foreshadowing when you are saying, hey, your daughter looks like me, exactly like me. It's like, yeah, because it's you. Because the actress is you. It's just
what is this?
cheap.
I would love to speak with these directors, including Almodóvar and Scorsese, that are like youngifying people with special effects. What is the purpose? Because I'm speaking for me only, but it pulls me out of the film so hard when those things happen.
Yeah, it's bizarre. But yeah, are we done with the spoilers?
Yes.
Okay, so anything else to ask you? What did you think when they go like to the apartment of Martha at some point, like looking for something, and they like put everything upside down? What did you think of that scene? Because when I was talking about perfect apartments, I was thinking about that scene.
I really enjoyed that scene because Martha has such this interesting experience where she's like, hey, when I left this apartment, I thought I was never coming back. And I can't think of an exact example from my life, but you know that feeling when you're like, I never expected to experience, like I could feel that in the scene. I don't remember how beautiful the apartment was, if that's what you're asking.
So do you remember Bottle Rocket? Wes Anderson?
Yes. Yes, of course.
Yeah. But there is a couple of scenes where they do like a top-down like view. Like, for example, like they're in a diner and they put like a top-down view of the diner table, and it's like perfectly, like the kind of obsessive like placement that they do. They do a couple of those when they are looking for that thing. We don't have to disclose anything, but it's that they start like opening like a tin box, and the tin box is perfectly crafted. And I was telling my boyfriend that is like, hey, this is perfectly crafted with the Welcome to America 101 items, like cute little items and trinkets that as a non-American you find fascinating, and he put them all into a box. So they were like the small like candy boxes that I tend to have like one here that. No, they're not pests. They're like mint, like a small mints. I tend to have. Yeah, exactly. They're like one of those and 3 or 4 other things that is like, hey, these are like only in the United States things, and he just put them all together here because it almost feels like his box of American curiosities more than Tilda Swinton curiosities. You know,
and I probably didn't pay attention because Altoids are familiar to me.
Yeah, but it's like, could you save one? Because it was a bit more of a box of mementos kind of thing. So I feel like
it is a thing for children. Yes, growing up, I had Altoids boxes full of coins or whatever.
Yeah. But do you remember in Amelie when she finds the box of the previous kid? Yeah. So it's like it feels a bit like that, but in the middle of the house. And it feels like, is this really Tilda Swinton's character box, or is this yours, Almodóvar? Just tell us. One thing that I didn't like in this movie, and I was saying that, is that he has become like super polished into his visual style, but also the characters have become like way more, how do you say, literary enlightenment, you know? That is that they're like talking about cultural references non-stop. And it's true that it's like both of them, they are writers. One of them is a war journalist, the other one is a writer, you know, like books writer. Is they so true? Is that maybe they have like references, that's like a way of how they connect. But I feel like Almodóvar has used his movies as a vehicle for just like putting his obsessions like verbalized, with, you know, like from these characters. Like All About My Mother is all about Eve. There are like a lot of things, and there is also a streetcar named Desire. So there's like the references, he likes to put them like very upfront.
Yes, I agree with that. These characters are extremely they're intellectually sophisticated, and it feels like he used to have that reverence for cinema that came before him. But you know that this is based on a book, right? It's based on a novel. I only know it's
adapted, yeah.
But then also the ending of the film is borrowed from a James Joyce novel. So there's a lot in this film that is just dedicated to literature, right? Like the writers, both of them, is based on a book. But yeah, I see what you say. Yeah. Do you think that's authentically him? Like, is he a voracious reader? And
I think so. Yeah, okay. I think so. It's similar to in many other things, similar to John Waters. That John Waters is a cinephile. You know,
what's the recent film of Almodóvar that I love so much? And I'm sorry that in my middle age, I'm just not remembering names of films.
Butler.
Yes, that's the one that I just... No, the one with Antonio Banderas that I said this is his best film.
Dolor y Gloria, Pain and Glory.
Yeah. That was also, he was a novelist, right? And it was all very much about...
No, he was a filmmaker, Antonio Banderas. It was basically him.
Oh, you're right.
Because he even runs into Cecilia Roth, like the main actress of All of My Mother. It's like, hey, you remember when we worked together?
And why, in my mind, I was remembering that film that he was a writer. Well, ignore me, because now it has no relation to this film.
No. But no, I think that he likes to show that, and he likes to use the movies and their character as a vehicle for showing this. In this movie, for me, it felt a bit more abusive than in other movies. It felt more like, hey, look at me, about like how much do I know about all of this. When in others, it's like, you know it great, otherwise it's fine.
And I wondered how much of this rolls into the conversation that we've had ongoing for a week or two, longer than that, but about directors who choose to direct a foreign language, in a language foreign to them. And I'm sure he speaks English, but I wonder how much that plays into it, like the film that I keep referencing with Mia Wasikowska, where it's not Bong Joon-ho. I say that time every...
Wong Park.
Wong Kar. No, it's not Wong Kar-wai.
No. It's Park Chan-wook. Park Chan-wook.
So a lot of these things you're pointing out were less obvious to me because I am an American, so it felt, I don't know, kind of...
Yeah, you're limited. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. But there does seem to be something about just not not being able to direct in the same way, in the same authentic way. Not that this isn't authentic, but there's just challenges, right? When you're directing a film taking place in a country that's not yours, in a language that's not yours.
I would have agreed with that if he hadn't done The Human Voice before.
But, I mean, that's in Spain, and she's an expat living in Spain. So, I mean, it's still...
Well, that he's shooting in New
Madrid,
York or
right?
North City, it doesn't really matter because it's mostly on the apartment and a studio.
Yeah,
It's like the only... they're like pieces, they're like parts that she goes out of the apartment,
onto the set.
you know, but it's onto the set. So it's not so much about like going into the streets. And I don't think that that's the critical, because in this movie is that, yeah, there are a couple of scenes that they are on the street, but most of it is our apartments. It's at Julianne's more apartment, Tilda Swinton's apartment, and the house. So I don't think that that really matters. I think that it's a bit more of a, you took some artistic choices here that you didn't have to. That you could have rolled with your classic style. We saw in The Human Voice, Tilda Swinton shows a lot of emotions. But here is that you decide to just tone it down and do something that even if it was in Spanish, it would have been like super quick.
That's what I was just going to ask you. Like, if this exact story had been done in Spanish, taking place in Madrid, let's say, do you think you would have you'd feel the same way about it?
I think that if he had done this, like the artistic direction of just doing a bit more, not deadpan, but neuter delivery in Spanish, it would have been even more obvious.
Yeah, I can see
You
that.
have been like, today we know all of these actresses, they have worked with you in the past, and you are asking them to do this. What were you thinking?
I don't want to jump to the questions too quickly, but I will say I'm very excited to hear whether or not you want to watch this, or you would watch this again.
All right, let's do the questions. Let's do the questions now. We can just like express a bit more how we feel along the way. So, Blake, would you watch this movie, The Room Next Door, again?
I would. Yes, I would. It's going to take a while. It's not like I watched the film and I was like, I want to go back into that universe as soon as possible. But in 3 or 4 years, I'd be like, I'd rewatch it. It's an enjoyable film. For all my complaints, I enjoyed watching it.
For me, this is like one of those of, I won't actively avoid it, but I wouldn't pursue it either. It's more about like, if my parents are watching it, it's like, yeah, I will watch it with them. But it's not that
Do you think your parents would like this film?
My mother went to see it, went to watch it, and she was okay with it. My father doesn't like Almodóvar. For him, it's a bit histrionic, like too histrionic. Well,
I can
fair.
see that.
It's a style.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm going to go with no. But not because I hated it. It's more like it left me like so cold that it's like the other ones is a bit more of a, hey, I would want to see like how this movie speaks to me like X years in the future. This one, I don't care.
What if the movie had ended just before Martha's daughter shows up?
We said no spoilers. But yeah.
But we already talked about her daughter and laughing.
On the spoiler, and the spoiler block. Yeah.
Oh, I see. I got it.
Yeah. So, well, let's pretend that we didn't say that, and let's say that for me the movie wouldn't have changed much. It's like this didn't like detract, the last part. It didn't detract. It didn't help. It was more like I was so neuter by the neutral delivery of the dialogue that nothing really affected me. So
for me, that final segment really detracted. I felt like if they had expanded that ending and ended it before, it would have had a different impact on me.
Okay. Would you recommend this movie?
I don't think so. And again, it's not because I dislike the film, but it's like, if you're going to recommend an Almodóvar film, this is just not in the top 10, I think, probably. And it's not that it's bad. It's just...
Yeah. As I was saying earlier, is like Almodóvar tends to do like one good movie and then 1.5 that they are not that good. This is a bit of a weird period as he comes from just doing those two sorts. Then he did Parallel Mothers, and Parallel Mothers was iffy. Not great, not terrible.
Did we review it?
No, we didn't.
No. Okay.
Yeah, it was just like, meh, whatever. And this is also a meh, whatever. I'm just a bit afraid that we are like changing the pattern, because the previous one was Pain and Glory, that I think that is good. It's like really good. Then there were like the two sorts, and now we have like these two that I feel like the Human Voice was good, A Strange Way of Living was like meh, and then these two are meh, Parallel Mothers and this one. So I'm a bit afraid of are we breaking the pattern and we're never going to be like getting another good Almodóvar movie anymore? So I couldn't recommend it, because as you said, is that this guy has like a 40-year career and there is like way better stuff in there. So, would you remember this movie?
I can confidently say yes. Not much happens in this film, and there are very few surprises. So, and also I did pay a lot of attention to this film specifically because it was his first language film, English language film, and because of those two actors that I love. So yeah, I'll remember this, and I will remember that I was kind of like, eh.
Yeah, same here. I would remember like the general story, how it ends and it ends. Is not hard to remember this. Is there anything artistic about it?
Yes, I would say even though the script kind of restrained them, I think the performances are great for what they were asked to do. Visually, it's stunning. And even at his worst, he has a tremendous storytelling style. Yes, there's a lot artistic about it.
I would go with yes, but mostly because of the visual language. It's like I feel like the script is okay, but the delivery like just detracts so much that it just... I think that it damages like the whole result. But visually, it's still like really, really good. It's like he has like a really... It's not Wong Kar-wai, but it's like he knows what he's doing.
So Almodóvar is credited with co-writing the script with Sigrid Nunez. Do you know who that is? Is that someone he collaborates with a lot? I'm curious about who this person is.
I don't know. Maybe...
Oh, no, it's the novelist. It's the novelist. Okay,
yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
He usually writes his scripts almost completely, right? Like alone.
Yeah, most of the time. There is a couple of other ones that they were adapted. I think that the first one that he adapted was The Skiing Within, I think.
Oh, that was a novel?
Yeah, that was a short novel, I think. The Skiing I Live In, sorry. Yeah, and that one, yeah, I think that maybe is better when he writes his own stuff.
Got it.
Yeah. Let's see. Next question. Is this a timeless piece?
Yes. I mean, there's nothing that... Yes, it is.
I'm going to go with yes. But there is a couple of conversations. I think that mostly with John Turturro. There is like, I don't know how that part is going to age. Like just because of war. We don't have to go. No, we don't have to go into specifics, and let's not go into specifics. But for me, it's like that is very focused on timely, and that's something that he started doing with Parallel Motors. That he started thinking about, like, hey, my cinema has like a very big reach, so I should use it also for giving some message about how the state of the world.
I don't know. For me, that's not timely. Like I can list a couple of more Bergman films that had that exact same message in the 50s. I mean, that is a message that will always be relevant.
Okay. Yeah, but for me, the rest is timeless about like how to deal with death and dying on your own terms. I think that that's always going to be there. Would you turn this into a TV show?
Would I turn it into a 21-minute episode? Yes.
That's a sort.
I would not watch several. No, I would not turn this into a TV show.
Yeah, me neither. And could this have been a short?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, same here. I think that there are other small topics around, like the main topic of death, how to face death, that they could be trimmed out and they wouldn't have detracted too much from the movie itself. Yeah, and it's like this is a bit of how Almodóvar tends to operate. There is a bit of a pastiche in a good sense about like there is like a main topic and then there is like other things around. Similar to in All About My Mother, there is it's not only about she being a mother and the grief process. It's about women like just coming together like with different like traumas and challenges and like the role of motherhood in it. In this one, it's a bit more like, hey, it's about death, and there are other small pieces around, but I will find removing them. And just like, hey, just do another sort here.
While Martha is a mother, I did find refreshing that the mother-daughter relationship kind of took a backseat compared to many, 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 many of his films. I mean, it's an interesting relationship that he's great at exploring, but for him to do an experiment, trying something else, I appreciated. Not that it was a successful experiment, but...
Yeah, I think that... I don't know if I agree with the backseat part, because they mention the daughter multiple times. So, without going into more detail, it's like, it's true, it's like, it's not the centerpiece, but it's like, it's on the back. And I wish that they actually have explored more the character, I think that's the point of mentioning the daughter so many times is a bit more of when you are getting to the end of your life, you're going to be like looking back at it and just analyzing what things went right and what things went wrong. And I wish that we had more insight into her as a character. Is that we see like a small vignettes of, she was a war journalist, so we see a random vignette of when she was covering, I don't know if it was Afghanistan, but besides that, we don't see more. We don't see like what propelled her to just like pursue that part of her life, or just like, I would have liked this to be more centered on Tilda Swinton and just developing her more as a character. So this feels a bit more of a farewell letter.
If they had both been nominated for acting Oscars, they would both get Best Leading Actress, right?
Correct, because they actually arranged it that way. That is, they were both for the Best Actress.
But so, if I were forced to, I would say forced to choose, I would say the main character is Julianne Moore. They have equal screen time. They're both leading, but Julianne Moore is kind of the center.
Yeah, because this could be about like a character at the end of her life, like just coming to terms and just looking back at her life. Or it could be about a character that is afraid of dealing with death and is forced into an impossible situation, like a shock for just breaking from that fear that she has. And they go with that. I think that they orbit a tiny bit more towards, but they don't really commit to either side. So I think that at the end, it's a bit of in no one's land, and I think that actually being a sort would force them to, you need to go with one of the two. You need to choose. It cannot be about both of them. It's not about like she coming to terms and just like farewelling it, and the other one like coming to terms that we all die.
Would you have preferred this was the same length as the gay western?
Yes, I think so. I think that this would have been like, or The Human Voice, it was like 30-40 minutes. I think that would have been like a perfect length. Just remove John Turturro, just make it about like two friends that reconnect and they have to deal with this. End. Yeah. So do you think this movie could have been better? I'm going to go first. I think that the answer is yes. I already just explained how I could make it better.
Yeah, it was interesting because you just explained that, Julianne Moore's character got a bit of a shock with this request from Martha. And I was like, yeah, it was kind of shocking. I would have appreciated seeing that shock communicated on the screen because it's not like a normal request. Oh. So,
yeah, no, I agree. It's a bit more of the problem of you're being superficial, but also at the same time, like the delivery doesn't help. So there are like things, I feel like the problem here is that you chose poorly. Do you remember like the Last Crusade, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade?
So I've only seen one of the Indiana Jones films of the original three. Is that the one that's respected as good? Because that's the one I've seen. Okay.
So yeah, the first and the third one, they're actually respected as good. But on the third one, there is like a very iconic scene where where the meme of "you chose poorly" or "you chose wisely."
Oh yeah, with like the chalice. Yes.
Yeah. So that one is that I feel like here, and moreover, he chose poorly.
Aww.
So I just feel like, hey, it's not that the movie is terrible. It's just like such a missed opportunity, especially with these two great actresses, that it makes it like even more painful to actually realize about like the end result. This is not the sum of its parts. It's actually way lower than the parts themselves.
I agree, and I feel particularly sad that he wasted Tilda Swinton. Julianne Moore,
she's all around.
I mean, she's good, but yeah, Tilda Swinton really could have done something special.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I think that's everything for the questions. So, Surgis Curtis.
Yes. This was your pick, so I'll score first. I've struggled with this rating because I still think it's a good movie, and I think we're a little bit critical because we expect more from him. But again, this is a good movie. I'm going to give it a 7.5. It's good, not great.
Okay. My score is a 6. When I finished watching it, I was like a bit more positive, but then it's like what it actually remained on me were more the gaps than the emotions. So yeah, so for me,
kind of like the Confessions of a
Notes on a Scandal.
Notes on a Scandal. Yeah,
I will never forget that movie. But yeah, it's exactly that. A bit more of this hasn't been manipulative. It has been like deliberately unmanipulative. More of we're going to be like removing like a lot of the feelings, so the energy, like the importance of the story, like is what carries it, and is you can do this with Muppets.
I agree.
Don't take these like two great actors to do this. Then, if you want to challenge yourself like that. So yeah, it's a 6. It's just okay. It's not that it's bad. It's not mediocre. It's about mediocre, but
yeah. Well, I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, to everyone out there, thank you so much for putting up with us. Leave us 5 stars, like us, whatever, and anything else.
And until next time, guys.
Yeah. And ladies. Bye.
And days.
Bye.